Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Doctor Who Reviews, and this week we are looking at Love and Monsters.
Yay.
Yeah, I feel that sentiment.
You want to know the worst part about this, folks? The very worst part? Brainiac, tell them what OBS did to us.
Oh yeah, so we actually recorded this on Sunday night, and it was a good podcast. We had a few laughs. We thought we'll never have to talk about this episode again. And then OBS didn't capture any of the audio, despite supposing to tell you it's not capturing any of the audio. So we're doing it again.
Because we love you guys.
Because they hate me.
Not only does Kat hate the episode, I kind of do as well.
I don't know. I'm feeling pretty great here.
It's better be into submission. Anyway, to discuss Love and Monsters with me, my two usual long-suffering co-hosts. Firstly, he is the smiling face on your TV. It's Freezing Inferno.
Hi.
And to my virtual right, she'll tell you 1 and 1 makes 3. It's Kat.
Kill me. Somebody kill me. Now. Please. Please. Please.
We will try and get this done as quickly as we can to avoid that from happening.
Ew.
So yeah, the David Tennant light episode, Love and Monsters. This is quite reviled amongst fandom.
For good reason.
Yeah, having watched it again, I can kind of see where they're coming from. I originally, this was Jerry's choice, of course, but I originally put this on my choice of that poll for Chris to pick from, because I thought it got a bad reputation. And we'd redeem it. And it turns out I was completely wrong. Breaking news, I'm full of shit apparently.
Okay. No, but what I discovered on take 1 of this podcast, and what we're hopefully reiterate here for you, since you guys didn't hear this, but Cat and Rain did, is that this story, well, it has some very interesting allegories and thematic resonances to it that actually I kind of vibe with. The problem is that then there's another 15 minutes at the end. And that's the 15 minutes that everyone objects to. Here's the thing. I didn't say this last time, but it's a good analogy. It's kind of like everyone in Doctor Who fandom had the same reaction I did to Kill the Moon in reverse. Where Kill the Moon, my basic take on that at the time was I didn't really focus on the rest of the episode, but that last scene was so powerful, so strong, so well acted by Jenna Coleman, and I was like, I don't care about anything else, it's a winner because of that. So you have the inverse with Love and Monsters, where the ending bit is so over the top, shall we say, so, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Disgusting,
So
horrible,
unashamedly
terrible.
strange, and just going for what it's going for, without really thinking of the implications of that people just focus on that and go, oh, this is the episode with this shit in it, and I don't like that. It reviles me. Makes me want to throw up. You don't really get much of a discussion about the other half, which, taking all things in stride, I like the first 35 minutes of the story. So let's talk about minute 1 to 35 of the story, and then we'll get to the shit that is bad about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I said this before, but it feels like a Russell C. Davies episode with a Chibnall episode tacked on at the end.
Oh my god.
And that's a very good description of it, in fact.
Yeah.
This also, of course, this story also gives us the tradition of the Doctor-Lite episodes.
Yes.
Which they used to include an extra episode into the filming rotation because they could film them simultaneously. And the Doctor and his companions do not appear for most of it. And Doctor-Lite gave us Blink and gave us Turn Left, which are brilliant stories.
But they also gave us Love and Monsters.
Yep,
Well, we have to start somewhere.
we do. And we start not with the Doctor, but with Elton Pope.
No, not that Elton, as they say in a fun little joke where they show Elton John.
Yeah. This is Elton Pope, played by the actor Marc Warren. And on his very first minute on the show, he finds the TARDIS.
Well, we're speedrunning this episode already. Great. We'll be done in no time.
Uh,
And then, instead of finding the Doctor, he finds a monster. And the monster roars in his face. And then we cut to a webcam?
It's a vlog! He's a vlogger! Hey, hello, he's online. Actually, this is odd because, I don't know, 2006 YouTube was still very early days. Were people vlogging in 2006?
I assume.
It seems a little, just a little ahead of its time. In that
Yeah, just a
regard.
bit.
Because I want to say something like maybe Fred came out around then or something.
Possibly.
Red feels more like a 2000, like a couple years later. I don't know.
Because they would later use YouTube. Sorry. They would later use YouTube in a couple of more modern stories. Ryan Sinclair's got a YouTube blog, of course.
No, there's some vlogs. I found a museum that shows what it used to look like, and they have different things like a rant about beards and poetry.
Okay. So
There were
talking
vlogs
about
before
stuff.
2006. They were just quite rare.
But that's the conceit of this episode. It is a vlog being narrated by Elton here. And after the credits, well, we get more fun with this monster. Fun is highly subjective quotation for a certain sex of Doctor Who fandom here, as the Doctor shows up with a pork chop to appease this creature, which is never actually. We don't know what the hell it is.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get a name in the actual episode.
Yeah.
It is named, but once it's finished off the screen, I'll tell you what the name was.
Right. Well, so this is a just full on gonzo dumb bullshit. But the Doctor's taunting this monster with a pork chop. Here's the pork chop. And then Rose comes running in with a bucket of something and just throws it at the monster and pisses it off. And the Doctor's like, "That was the wrong bucket, wrong bucket."
You said the blue bucket. I said not the blue bucket.
And from that, the monster's angry, and then we get a chase scene.
Scooby Doo, where are you? That's what we get.
It's a straight up Scooby Doo chase. You know, you've got the corridors on the other side. They run through one, they come out the other. They run through one, this one comes out the other. It's
You can practically hear the Benny Hill.
Yeah, it's an obvious homage, but it's not one that I'm personally offended by.
But
a lot of other people are.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you can understand how this is like the cherry on top. We are going to talk about the end of the episode, but for a certain kind of Doctor Who fan who is predisposed against campy, light-hearted bullshit like this, it's just salt in the wound.
Good.
You mean someone that can't have fun? Got you.
Yes, exactly. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The worst sin a Doctor Who episode can be for a certain large subset of traditional Doctor Who fans is not offensive or racist or sexist or anything like that. It's campy. Silly.
And before people have a go at me for being a hypocrite and say, well, you didn't like that joke about having a conversation in Resolution. That's not the reason I didn't like the joke in Resolution. It's because the joke wasn't funny.
It's a dumb boomer joke.
There is nothing unfunny about a Scooby-Doo parody.
It's stupid, but it's like, okay, that's clearly very silly.
It's deaf, it's out of place, but it's fine. It's barely on the screen to register.
Yeah. I mean, consider also that the very next episode, Fear Her, is something like the second worst on the Doctor Who 50th anniversary poll.
Yeah. I don't know if Fear Her is bad or just dull.
Like, I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. It's not like a favorite episode, but it's also like it doesn't violently offend me.
I'm almost inclined to give
so-
Fear Her a break because it was a last-minute replacement for another story.
Yeah. And also, I think it falls more into the silly cat thing. It's like, oh, the Olympics thing, that's stupid. Or, oh, Scribble Monster, that's dumb. And it's like, this is the worst thing you could have done. You're a stupid show for kids. How dare you do this to me? I am a functioning adult.
I think it's the way it was handled, because the idea that a child conjures up a drawing to erase people is pretty cool.
Yeah, that honestly is a great concept. It's just the way they execute it.
And then they show it on the screen, and oh god, why'd you bother?
Maybe one day we will cover that story, but for now, the Doctor actually recognizes our narrator, Elton. And Elton runs away and goes back to his flogging.
Yeah. And we learn a bit more about Elton here. He is a UFO enthusiast.
He's also an NPC.
Oh my god.
An alien spotter. It's funny you mention that, because this story apparently took its inspiration from an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the main character of that story was, again, an atypical observer.
Right.
A person who's not usually in the show. Because, spoilers, Elton never shows up again.
Well, he almost did at one point.
He almost did, but given the reception that this episode got, I'm not surprised Marc Warren didn't return.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault.
And again, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
No shade to the actors.
It's like, we'll go ahead and put a nice blanket statement over this. None of this is really the actor's fault.
No.
The real people who are at fault here are the people who wrote the last couple of minutes.
Exactly.
Which would be mostly Russell T Davies.
You know, I am a huge fan of Russell T Davies, and I will go to bat for him most days of the week, but he messed up here.
Yeah, this was a writer's block day for Russell T Davies.
We'll get to that, but
this is the 50 Shades of Grey of Russell T.
Oh
Davies.
god, no, don't go that far.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I will go
but
that far.
One thing I do
it's just as offensive and just as wrong.
One thing I do like about Elton is that they used him quite cleverly in the first few minutes.
Before we get to that, I just wanted to mention the go through chronologically. He mentions he's just not one idiot in the camera with a camera. He's got friends. So then he goes for a little outside vlogging with his friend Ursula. He's holding the camera, and he's vlogging the house he grew up in from outside, and reminiscing about the fact that he first met the Doctor in his house one night when he was a kid. Just woke up in the middle of the night and there's David Tennant in your front room. Why? Well, he doesn't remember. He doesn't answer. Ursula asks, why was the Doctor in your house?
That's every fangirl's dream.
I know, right?
You just one day you wake up, you go downstairs, and there's David Tennant in your living room.
I think for some people that would be a nightmare these days, given his performance in Jessica Jones. But
oh, yikes!
I mean, he is brilliant in that, but also that character is terrifying.
Well, acting, you know.
Oh yeah.
But why was the Doctor there, Elton? We don't find out that yet, but we will. But here's a clever scene. I think this is what you were alluding to. Elton mentions this isn't the first time he's had to deal with alien bullshit.
Yeah. They used him basically as a surrogate for the audience here, where Elton was actually present during the events of several of the past adventures of Series 1. So he was there when the Autons attacked back in Rose. He was there when an alien mothership crashed into Big Ben in Aliens of London. He was part of the Christmas Invasion events. Despite the fact, of course...
He was an observer.
He was an observer,
literally
an
NPC.
Yeah, literally. But they filmed new footage to show him in these, because obviously he wasn't part of those episodes originally.
Yeah. And actually, all this made me think of a really good idea for an episode would be something like there is a group that is selling alien insurance. So if your house gets destroyed, hey, you have insurance for that. And they run like an insurance scheme where they, get people to buy the insurance by having aliens attack.
That's
because there's so many of these times where aliens just attack and nobody like talks about it. It's just glossed over. Like people would remember that.
That is a
But it
little
makes
bit like Aliens of London, but
Yeah.
I like the
I-
idea. It would work in,
Yeah.
say, like a Torchwood Big Finish audio.
Yeah, just sort of a thing where the true evil is capitalism.
You've got my attention.
Like I said, it would work in the Big Finish Torchwood audio novel.
It's like their motivation isn't anything like we want to rule the world or we want to destroy all of humanity. It's just we like money.
I mean, there is literally a Torchwood audio story out there where there is an organisation that is making temporary people to serve as office workers.
Oh my god.
They take the word
Holy-
temp literally.
Oh my god.
It's called 9 to
That's
5 because
amazing.
that's how long they live for.
Oh, that's horrific, but also a really good idea for a story. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I need to look at more of Big Finish's stuff.
I
Apparently,
will say that people acknowledging the whole alien stuff is kind of a joke in the Titanic episode. The first time we see Wolf, as they beam down on Christmas Day, and Wolf's the only one there because everyone's like, "Oh, aliens invade the city every Christmas Day," so everyone fucking left.
Yeah. But Wilf is too
Yeah.
pig-headed to leave.
Yeah,
I love
kind of
Wilf.
like that. But yeah, it's nice inserting him into the margins of classic Doctor Who episodes we know, and we learn a little more about Elton and his research. But first, we learn the fun little fact. It's come up in a bit. Elton is a big fan of the band Electric Light Orchestra, or ELO. And he's just dancing around to Mr. Blue Sky by that band.
I mean, in fairness,
I love
don't
it.
we all?
it's a fantastic song.
I spun a little ELO after watching this episode. Good.
I would say maybe they're a product of their time, but it's good.
That means.
Yeah,
Did
but
you just
certain
try
songs.
to slander the good name of ELO?
I'm not slandering them at all. Certain songs from that time period, are clearly from that time period, whereas things like Bohemian Rhapsody are timeless.
Ah.
That's what I mean.
I'm watching you.
I'm paying. Forget it.
So
He's
another,
learned to give up. Yay!
another little strange thing happens here that helps lend credence for a fan theory that, well, I saw it on the TARDIS wiki, and it's not that Elton's not entirely villainous. No.
Stop it.
Elton mentions offhand that once all this alien stuff happened, the internet went into a meltdown. And we then see Elton's computer literally go into a meltdown. The keyboard sparks, smoke billows out of the monitor and stuff. And that, plus the Scooby-Doo thing, plus some other stuff, lends credence to the idea that Elton is an unreliable narrator, because it's highly implausible that his computer literally sparked and exploded when he tried to Google alien invasion stuff.
Yeah.
So it's an artistic choice in the retelling that he's telling you. But then
yeah, plus
everything
there's
changes.
the fact he's still using the computer later. That doesn't make much
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. It's an interesting take on things.
But then everything changes for Elton when one night during his Googling,
When the
He
fire
finds-
Financial attack, yeah. We both had the exact same idea when you said that.
now you're making me think of that video of the guy interviewing people who went to see the Shyamalan Last Airbender movie, and all of them are universally like, the movie sucked. It was
May I
terrible."
remind you, I was so excited. I saw the trailers and I was like, oh, this must be fantastic. I mean, they have something to work off. There's no way it could be bad. And I go in and I get my ticket and I'm told it's in 3D and I'm like, okay, that's weird. I didn't know that. I wish it wasn't in 3D, but you know. And then I got to see a 3D version of 6 people moving around a tiny little rock.
We watched that movie together, and it sucked
Not that
ass.
I'm angry or anything.
I have fallen for
Well,
good trailers for bad movies too many times.
So,
to trust
Tangent
trailers these
aside.
days.
And now I
Elton-
just know that M. Night Shyamalan's full of bullshit.
That being said, I will say right now that the teaser trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home came out today.
I have different ideas about that, and I'm kind of worried it is going to be one more day.
one day more?
No, it's Spider-Man one more day. It's
No, I know. I was just making a joke.
A Les Miserables reference, yeah.
Yeah.
but I have strong feelings about that one, so we shall see.
Well, all I'm saying is they
How
better
it
not mess it up based on the strength of that trailer.
I really hope they don't.
Elton finds online.
Oh yeah, Doctor Who.
He finds an obscure blog by some idiot blogging about Symphogear. I mean, wait, shit, no, that's my blog.
He actually finds My Invasion blog by Ursula Blake.
And he meets up with Ursula Blake, who starts telling him about the mysterious doctor.
And this...
And about how once she accidentally looked into the eyes of a giant snake and she died, but she got better.
I was going to say, this actress should be familiar to you. It's Shelley Henderson, who went on to play Moaning Myrtle in the Harry Potter films, as written by Hatsune Miku.
Yeah.
Hey.
She's
Such
also
a
in Star Wars.
talented AI.
She's also in Star Wars, but you wouldn't know she's in Star Wars because she's just the voice of a CGI character.
Hey.
Yeah, hey, Babu Frick in and it's The Last Skywalker, The Rise of Skywalker.
Hey. There's a
And there's a very funny story about her appearance in Star Wars, which is actually not related to her, but somebody was saying how they were watching Little Women in the cinema,
Right.
and they get to the part where one of the characters dies, and it's all very teary and very sad. And at the exact moment the character dies, they could hear Star Wars in the next screen, very
Oh, no.
loud, and Babu Frick goes, "Hey!" And apparently the entire audience pissed themselves with laughter.
It's so good.
The timing was immaculate.
Oh, incredible.
I can't believe she's gone. Hey!
So, Ursula mentioned she not only believes Elton, but also mentions that she's not alone. She has a little tight-knit community of people who are into this doctor spotting thing. And so we meet up with her friends. 3 more people. Mr. Skinner, Bridget, and Bliss.
Yay.
And can you believe they're all 2 weeks away from retirement?
Oh, well.
And they're all wearing red shirts for some reason, too. It's weird.
They're not actually red shirts, as we'll go into later, but
Yeah, I know. That's what ticks me off.
yeah, they are doomed. But
But before we get to that, no, so they hang out for a bit, and eventually, Elton comes up with a name for their little group.
oh, this is adorable.
Linda, the London Investigation Detective Agency.
Yeah, as in fish and chips.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, and
It's cute. It's
it's taken from another Russell T Davies show.
It's nice.
I'm just trying to find out which one it is.
It's called Why Don't You?
Yeah.
And there the acronym was for the Liverpool Investigations und Detective Agency.
Yeah, that's it. Why don't you?
And apparently there was also a deleted scene about this name, where originally they were going to have a name that had the word doctor in the title, like the Doctor People, Doctor Hunters, the Doctorers. But they thought that it would give people the idea that they were medical doctors. So I believe they filmed this, but they just deleted the whole thing. So they had like this hypothetical situation, imagination bit where they saw a man suffering from a heart attack at their meeting place.
Oh dear.
Gosh.
So it's like, I'm glad they took that out.
Yeah, that's terrible. Oh god.
Yeah, the man also died of the heart attack,
Oh
so,
god. Yeah, I'm glad
Oh,
that
Yeah.
scene
God.
was cut out then.
Oh, well. So eventually, these people just they stop worrying about the whole doctor thing and just start expressing themselves in other ways. So Mr. Skinner starts reading passages from his novel. Bliss is sharing her art. Eventually, they learn that some of them can play like the piano and the drums and stuff, and they just start playing in a band, like playing ELO songs.
Yeah.
So before we get into how things change for this group, let's just get the obvious, very interesting allegory that's going on here into the frame, as it were. These guys, Linda, are a metaphor for Doctor Who fandom.
Yeah, kind of.
There's no kinda.
Well, I thought it was like
It's,
fandom in general rather than just specific Doctor Who fandom, but yes.
well, I guess I see what you mean there, but yes.
But yeah,
yes.
given who the villain represents, yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah,
But
it's just
they
basically
go.
the idea of people coming together because of one thing and, a show versus, the doctor himself. And then they start to grow together as a group. And it's like, that's very reminiscent of how we met.
Exactly.
It's like I saw Frez doing his thing and, on YouTube, I messaged him and it turned out we both liked Doctor Who. And that's how I got to meet Rainiac and other people.
Now here we are.
And you've regretted it
And
ever
now
since.
here we are.
Because sometimes you appear on this podcast and do episodes of the monsters with us.
But yeah, that's exactly how it is. We all found
It's
a
alright, I
shared.
forgive you.
We all found a shared love in Doctor Who, but then we were able to express ourselves in so many other ways,
Yeah.
like watching B movies on stream with Kat, or sharing Symphogear with Rainiac, or me
Chris.
or me
And
or
me.
me or me and Rainiac sharing our novels
Yeah.
with each other, and general writing stuff. Just really expressing ourselves and forming close bonds and friendships, empathy for each other, all that sort of stuff.
And
It
then
was
some
built off
asshole
of it.
comes in and tells them to stop this shit and get to work.
Yeah. This Linda group, which has gone from being like a community of, dare I say it, nerds, to
Yeah.
Yeah.
a social friend group, is visited by a stranger. And his name is Victor Kennedy. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Kennedy. Wrong theme music, but yeah.
You're going for. I know what you're going for, but
Yeah,
it's
Mr.
gonna
Kennedy. Who they ruined. But anyway,
Anyways,
yeah.
Victor Kennedy turns to them and says, "All right, you losers, hang up your ears and your tails, and we're going to stop being a band. We're going to investigate this shit."
He does get a good line when he first comes in. He reminds me of a theatrical agent played with a lot of ham by Peter Kay.
Oh yeah.
He even gets a spotlight.
That's just adding to the flourish and the.
Yeah. And he gets the line, "I am your salvation."
Yeah, sure.
So immediately, this guy has a big opinion of himself.
So let me get this straight. He comes in and he ruins certain things for people. He has a big ego. He thinks that he's the one who's right. Is this Ian Levine?
Ian Levine.
It's funny you
Who's
should mention that, because that's exactly who this is based off.
Why don't we talk about Ian Levine for a bit?
Oh, do we have to? That man went to my school.
I mean, oh yeah, you had some interesting times up at
Yeah,
that.
go on
Cool.
and talk about Ian Levine.
So Ian Levine is a figure from classic Doctor Who history, as it were. He was quote unquote continuity advisor during the '80s for a period there in the from late Tom Baker to Colin Baker. He quit over Bonnie Langford's casting being the last straw, the thing that ruined Doctor Who. Bonnie Langford's fun. But
Well, as we know from current Ian Levine, he seems to have a problem with women and Doctor Who in general.
Of all the things to quit over, body length is
Unlikable.
casting.
Yeah, and that there's some real grody shit you can say about that, but I'll get into this podcast. But Ian Levine, he had some interesting contributions to Doctor Who over the years. He did help spearhead the finding of certain missing episodes, so that's a good thing. He also inflicted Doctor in Distress upon this world, which
Balances it out.
his
And he wrote
continuity,
the theme song for K9 and Company.
which is yeah, it's camp and silly in its own little way. You know, it's very, as Rain said, of its time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one particular example of his continuity advising that I want to focus on because it definitely focuses on the negative side of Doctor Who fandom and arguably what killed the classic era, which is giving a shit about shit nobody gives a shit about. For example, a story that we haven't covered yet, but it's a pretty good one. The Tom Baker E-Space story, State of Decay. There was a spaceship in that story that was originally supposed to be called the Hyperion. Ian Levine asked them to change it to something else, so they changed it to the Hydrax. And he wanted it changed because Hyperion was used for the name of the spaceship in the John Pertwee story called The Mutants, which had aired like 10 years previously.
Yes, because there's people definitely going to know that the two ships are not the same. Why?
Yeah, and keep in mind this is like 1980. There's no internet. There's no VHS of the mutants floating around.
There definitely can't be two ships called the Hyperion. What are you talking about?
Nobody is going to fucking notice this and raise up a stink in 1980. Even the most hyper continuity obsessed Doctor Who nerds in the Doctor Who Appreciation Society or fan club or whatever have you aren't going to complain about this shit. And it goes on like this. And this is Ian Levine's legacy. Continuity shit that people don't give a fuck about. And that mentality really fucked up the Davis and Colin Baker years, but that's a discussion entirely.
Okay.
Funny enough,
I'm sorry. I was looking for something to see if Ian Levine ever weighed in on the idea of him being represented by Victor Kennedy.
oh boy.
And instead I found a forum that has this as its title.
Oh no. Where do we go? Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. He didn't he what he quit over. What did he quit over?
Jodie.
Jodie.
Of course he
Not
did.
Thomas Children, just Jodie. Wow, what a surprise! Color me shocked that the last straw for Ian Levine would be a lady Doctor Who. Color me.
Can I just say, chapeau to whoever came up with that URL for that website. The way they censored out the swear word in the actual URL is fantastic.
That's something. Yeah, so this is the divisive figure in Doctor Who fandom that Russell T Davies is taking the piss out of with Victor Kennedy. But he's not just taking the piss out of him. He's showing, hey, this type of figure in your fandom, this toxic figure who has an ego the size of France. Well, if you let a figure like that in unopposed, it'll fracture your entire goddamn group.
It won't just fracture it, it'll destroy it.
Well, yeah, fracture and destroy. Even the narration says that we met Victor Kennedy and the golden age was gone. And so Victor Kennedy is just disdainful of them going around and having fun instead of focusing on what's clearly the priority, finding the Doctor. And so Linda, under his watch, he takes over and turns it into fucking work.
Yeah. Their job is to look for the Doctor. Find the Doctor.
Yeah.
Be the Doctor. Wait, no, that comes later.
Yeah. He also doesn't like being touched.
That's a clue for later.
He's got eczema, which is eczema,
Instead of
but
eczema.
he calls it eczema. So that's
He
also a
also
clue for later.
He also has a video file of the Doctor and Rose getting into the TARDIS, and though it cuts off before the TARDIS dematerializes, you still hear the sound, Woo. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this actually gives Elton pause, and he has a bit of a moment as he starts to remember something. And Kennedy badgers him.
Hang on.
You've got it?
That's it.
That's right, yes.
I knew I had it somewhere.
Good. So Elton hears that, and he has a moment, and he's like, wait, I remember now. That's what woke me up all those years ago when the Doctor was in my house. I heard that noise. What is it? That's his spaceship. Oh, hot goddamn. Wild. So Kennedy assigns everyone their homework in finding the Doctor, but then he's like, Bliss, would you stay behind a moment, please? Just let's have a moment in private. I'd like a word with you in private, please. She agrees. Everyone heads out. They're like, okay, well, that was a fun time. See you tomorrow. And as they're leaving, we hear Bliss screaming.
And she's never seen again.
As Kennedy says later, well, she left to get married. Oh, what a stupid girl. It'll never work out. Idiot.
Yeah. Anyway, the three main members of Linda and Kennedy step up their efforts to find the Doctor, and Elton does the unthinkable. He actually finds him.
As we saw in the opening, Blue Bucket, Scooby-Doo, all that shit.
Yeah.
So that happens, and Kennedy is absolutely furious that Elton fucked it up and saw the Doctor but didn't, follow up on it. And he's about to slap the shit out of Elton. But then Ursula stands up and is like, you fuck with him and I'll kick your ass!
Yeah.
I really like Ursula.
She's great.
So do I.
Actually, I'm just going to say I like all the characters in this, barring Victor Kennedy and what he later turns into.
Obviously.
I like Kennedy as a villain. What he turns into, not so much. But,
Kennedy rather icily notes Ursula Blake, most likely to fight back.
Yeah.
And then he changes tactics. He backs off. He's been confronted, but he's backing off, and he changes the subject, much like certain toxic people will do. Recede and try to frame the argument in their own terms. And so, instead of going for the Doctor, they focus on the Doctor's lady companion. One who's, we know as Rose Tyler, but they just know as this blonde lady.
And they at the very least know that, she's located in London, or she comes from London. But, as Bridget points out, London's a huge place. Because one of the things that we learn in the beginning before Victor Kennedy comes in is that Bridget actually has a daughter who unfortunately fell into drug use. And she has been lost in London ever since.
Yeah.
In fact, if I remember correctly, Bridget doesn't even live in London. She lives 3 hours outside of it.
He lives, I don't know where.
But she always comes to London to try and find her daughter and to meet up with the people of Linda.
Yeah, she's dedicated.
So there is an earlier scene, where when they're establishing that Linda was moving away from the Doctor thing and instead focusing on each other, where Bridget mentions all this stuff, and she just opens up her heart to these people, has a little sob, and they give her a hug, and it's like, it's okay, Bridget, thank you for sharing and stuff. Victor Kennedy, when he hears this, is just like, oh, Bridget, none of this personal crap. I don't like being touched literally or metaphorically. Because toxic assholes don't have time for empathy.
Facts don't care about your
feelings. Holy shit. We mirrored each other there.
Fuck.
Doctor Who mirror alert.
You know what? Can I just say, the more and more that you listen to the, that what happens in this, especially since we've done this twice now, it really goes to show exactly how firm it is that this is quite obviously supposed to be the Doctor Who fan base.
Yeah.
Just because, this is the kind of thing that you find a whole lot where people are like, it's not about how you feel about the episode. It's about the quality of the episode. Like the people who say that is good despite the racist aspects.
Yeah.
It's like they're ignoring the emotional and empathetic parts of it, hating racism, and instead focusing on the cold clinical part of it, which is it a good story?
There were people up in arms because the Doctor punched a racist in thin ice. I mean, of course he did.
Of course he did.
The racist was a villain?
Of course he did. And also the fact that it was baller as fuck.
Yes.
It really was.
Here, have it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Bless.
And in fact, if you come to my stream on Sundays, you'll see it a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Because that's the filter to stop you getting copyright strike.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And here's another thing. I mentioned this before to y'all, and you were like, "What the fuck?" But the poll I keep mentioning, there's a certain story in the bottom 10 that I absolutely do not agree with. This is according to Doctor Who magazine's poll, one of the 10th worst Doctor Who stories ever, and it is the Rings of Akhaten.
What?
Which you're out of your goddamn mind if that's anywhere near.
Rings is beautiful.
Rings is beautiful, evocative, emotionally moving, and it's exactly that kind of shit that a cold, clinical, traditional Doctor Who fan, heavy air quotes, would think is not worth their time because it doesn't have enough monsters that they remember from when they were 8.
Not gonna lie, that's rustled me somewhat. I may have to change my next story.
Well, we'll see how you feel.
We'll see at the end of this whether I have or not. But
I mean, last time you rustled me, we ended up here. So be careful. Although I will say, Rings of Akhaten is infinitely better than this.
Absolutely.
I'm not happy about that.
The change of plan then is they will look for Rose and not the Doctor, because Rose will lead them to the Doctor.
It leads to a funny little gag where Elton's like going out to do his mission, and he's like, "It was time to scour the streets of London for the needle in the haystack, the one impossible girl among 10 million." And then it cuts to an old lady saying, "Oh, that's Rose. Oh, she lives just down the street."
Gives him like her, Rose's address, her social security number, her phone number, her credit card numbers.
This story has its moments, and this is one of them.
And even while it was not 2 seconds later, as he's going down the street, who does he see walking into a laundromat but Jackie Tyler?
Yeah. Camille Coduri is perhaps the MVP of the story.
Oh, she's really good in this.
Because she gets to show a really funny side to her, but also a much more vulnerable, sensitive side.
Oh, it's that funny side we're going to show off first, because Elton initiates Operation Laundry to make contact with Jackie Tyler and try to get an in,
I'm
so
sorry,
to speak.
but Operation Laundry. Why is there such a good half of this episode and the rest is shit?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it a good half. I call it like a good 2/3.
2/3.
Yeah.
It's the back third that's the weak one, but...
So, yeah. He
as soon
heads
as you
into
see the true monster of the episode, that's where everything goes downhill.
Yes, exactly.
It's the back third that's weak.
This is a really funny scene because Elton's takes off like his jacket and his overshirt. Maybe it's just his jacket. I don't know. Either way, he takes off something so he has something to throw into the laundry, and then he's reiterating in his head all the espionage steps that Victor Kennedy has told him about on how to make contact with a target. But the joke is that Jackie is the one who initiates every single one.
Yeah, it's like step 1 is find a way to engage the target. Jackie comes over and says, "Do you have a coin? I'm missing some."
Yeah.
And then it just leads it further and further.
And Jackie gets a great line about how here I am, total stranger. I'm showing you my knickers.
But she also mentions that the only reason she's down here is because her washing machine back home is broken. And, hey, you wouldn't happen to be a handy guy, would you?
Well, it turns out Elton is. It was the fuse. Hey, he fixed it. Great.
Yay! And so, they have a nice little moment where they're sitting down, and she mentions that her daughter is often out traveling with friends. And, of course, Elton's super interested in this because he knows it's Rose. especially since he sees all the pictures around of her, and he can confirm now he's got the right person.
Yeah.
And so they sort of form a nice little friendship, although he's using her at this time because he wants to get to Rose.
And Victor Kennedy is impressed by Elton's. Oh, well done, boy! Excellent. Now you have to follow through to step 5. Okay, everyone, head out and get your shit done. But Bridget, would you stay a moment? Just a small word in private, please.
Doesn't he say that he's found her daughter or some such nonsense?
I don't know if he does that or not.
Or they can find her daughter, but
I don't know. It would be extra creepy if he appealed to her like that for his own thick ends. But
I
either
don't
way,
remember. I just do remember that Mr. Skinner was going to offer her a ride, and she decided to decline it and said, she would do like catch the bus or something.
yeah, speak to Kennedy and then catch the bus. So she's gone.
Well, it's also we established that Mr. Skinner and Bridget kind of had a little thing going there, a little budding romance. But
yeah,
well, she's gone now.
Yeah, that's gonna go so many places, and I'm not angry.
Yeah. So Elton is Jackie's handyman now, which it's rather strange that a whole bunch of fuses and shit keep breaking in the Tyler flat. But
yeah,
well,
really weird. And it's like she keeps hanging around him and talking about him. And how pretty he is.
We have to point out Russell T Davies' expert level foreshadowing / trolling. Having established that Elton is a fan of the Electric Light Orchestra, there's an Electric Light Orchestra song playing over this montage of Elton fixing Jackie's things.
What's it called?
The title of the song is Turn to Stone. God damn it. Yes.
Special guest appearance by the Queen of Scream, Daphne.
Beautiful.
What? Me? Mad? No, I'm not mad at all.
No.
And
well, from that we get to, full fucking cougar from Camille Coduri.
So, fun fact, I actually watched Love and Monsters with my friend Chris to be able to do this podcast. And she also hated it. She saw why, we often complained that it was one of the worst Doctor Who episodes
I know what's
around.
coming.
Oh boy.
She she did not has not ever seen Jackie Tyler before. And she was the entire time she was watching it, she's like, "Man, she's really going for Elton." And I replied to her, "You do not know the level of thirst that Jackie Tyler has."
Oh, yeah. Well, she hella thirsty in this scene.
She is so thirsty.
After Elton's latest job is done, she shows up with 2 glasses of wine. Elton's like,
and is wearing a short skirt.
In her nighties, and she'll...
Oh, I'm driving. Oh, you can get a cab back, Elton. Come on, have a little sippy. So he's like, okay, fine, we'll have a little sip. Cheers. And he drinks some wine, and they're talking. Jackie's very slowly advancing on him towards him as he said his back is against the wall. And oh, oops, Elton, I've spilled some wine on your shirt. Oh, now you'll have to
He's like,
take
"Oh,
it off."
it's just a spot. It's not that bad." And she immediately pours the entire glass over him.
Quick, get some white wine to counter it. Don't actually do that. It doesn't work, but...
No, it doesn't.
Of course it doesn't. Why would it? But oops, you've spilled even more wine on your shirt. Oh, now you're going to have to take it off. And so Elton heads into her bathroom, takes off his shirt, and he's like, "Oh man, this is it. This is it." He freshens up, He's like, ooh, psyching himself up for it, and it's like, "You can do it, Elton. You can fuck that MILF."
He did not sound like a gorilla. Also, no.
Chris actually did say, "Go get that MILF."
Oh,
I'll get that MILF. But, well, he comes out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." But it turns out that Jackie has gotten a call from Rose, and, well, that's stunk any lewd mood she's had. She's just very melancholy now, missing Rose. It's hard having your daughter be out in the wastes of time and space, not knowing where she is, not knowing when she'll be back. She doesn't say this to Elton, but that's clearly what it
No. Plus, it's the fact that she is utterly alone. By this time, he who shall not be named, because 20 women, is no longer around. Rose is off with the doctor, and she's got nobody. She's completely alone.
Yeah.
And so this is when another of the themes of the episode come back. Linda before Kennedy was all focused on empathy and feeling, and so Elton gets a bit of that empathy. He's like, you know what? We don't need to fuck. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go down and get a pizza, and we're gonna have a pizza together, you and me, proper mates.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice little gesture for a woman who's alone and feeling a little lonely. He's not trying to get any ulterior motive out of it. He's genuinely like, you feel bad, and I want to make you not feel so bad.
He's realized how ridiculous he was behaving.
And
he
he's
also realizes something important. It's not Jackie Tyler that he finds attractive and wants to be with. It's someone else.
It's Ursula. How sweet. And so he goes to get his pizza. He comes back up to the flat, but Jackie's outside waiting for him. Oh, hey.
Mr. Blue Sky fades out.
Yeah.
What are you doing out here? Well, let's go in and get the pizza before it gets cold. And Jackie, as it turns out, she wanted to pay for it, but she knew Elton wouldn't accept, so she decided to just slip a $10 bill, a 10-pound bill, I guess, in his jacket pocket. And what did she find in his jacket? The picture of Rose.
Oh, this scene. This breaks my heart.
And Elton's
really
like,
does.
no, you don't understand. It's not like a weird thing. I was looking for the doctor, and that just sets Jackie
I
off
know.
even more. Because it's never me.
She knows he's trying to find the doctor, and that's what hurts her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like he tries to explain, but she is not having any
She
of
was
it.
he used her, and she's hurt by that. And she's also fiercely loyal to Rose. She'll protect her from anything. And so she just tosses him his coat and says, "Get out of here. Go on. I don't want to see you anymore."
Yeah.
Can I just say, one thing I do wish came from this episode. I probably would not have liked it before now, but I would have probably liked it or appreciated it now, is if after this episode, they had like a background thing where Rose explained everything to Jackie, and Jackie and Elton did hang out genuinely as friends.
That's nice, but also look what happens to Jackie.
I don't think you get over the betrayal.
Like 3 episodes later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it still would have been nice at the time
Well,
for,
it would have been
things to have been
Jackie's line
cleared
here
up.
is absolutely heartbreaking because she says, like, real bitterness in her voice, that no one ever has interest in her.
God.
We're
And
interested in you, Jackie. You're
Camille
fantastic.
Coduri again is fantastic in this role.
Yeah.
She really is.
And there's a again big finish, but there's an audio with her as Jackie, and John Barrowman as Captain Jack, and it's the fact that she's an ordinary person that ends up saving the day.
Oh.
She gets her moment in the sun,
Oh.
and I just love the fact that someone actually was prepared to do that for that character because she deserves it.
I mean, that's really nice. I don't know if I'll check it because, but...
I mean, even when she came back in Journey's End, she didn't have that much to do.
But still, it was not... I mean, that entire episode is just... Everyone is here, so...
Yes, it is. It's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Basically. So, this is when Elton realizes, yeah, this toxic bullshit that Kennedy's been pushing them towards has no empathy, has no emotional connection. All it does is hurt people for their own selfish gain. And so he lets loose at the next meeting. And it's like, everything was fine before you showed up. And now look at us. Bridget is gone. Bliss is gone. Look what I did to Jackie. It's just... We had a proper group, and you came in and all got fucked up.
Yeah, you've ruined it.
You've
Yeah,
ruined it.
Ian.
Yeah. Thanks for attacking the Cybermen, Ian.
Oh God.
I will say the only thing that I agree with him with is the fact that Timeless Children is terrible. Everything else, I have not found a single thing.
Did he hate that?
Yeah.
Of course he hated that.
He hated Timeless
Who
Children.
am I kidding?
Of course he.
But he liked Fugitive of Jejune. It was like the one Jodie episode he actually likes.
Interestingly surprising.
Also, you know what? It's kind of funny that he said, I'm quitting Doctor Who because there's a woman doctor, and then he still watched all the episodes.
I don't know if he watched all the episodes, but I think somebody told him to watch Fugitive because they thought he might enjoy it, and he watched it and admitted that he did really enjoy it.
I'm about to say the most cursed thing I've ever said on this show, I think.
Oh, no.
At least 2 flicks committed to quitting the show.
That's it. This podcast is over.
God, you want to talk about toxic fandom?
I don't mean this episode. I mean the entire show. It's done. It's off the air. It's cancelled forever.
You want to talk about toxic fandom bullshit? Exhibit fucking A right there.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're done. Ring the gong. We're done. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Rank stupidity.
So Elton, he really steps up here. He simultaneously decides to have a mass revolt and just quit Linda right then and there, and also ask Ursula out. All right, me and you, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna leave Mr. Kennedy, and we're gonna go up to the Chinese place for some takeaway, if you want. Elton, what? I'm trying to ask you out. You and me.
And then there's a little funny bit too where he turns to Mrs. Gray. He's like, "Are you joining us?" Not for the Chinese. I kind of just want that to be a thing between me and Ursula.
Not for the Chinese, if that's okay, Mr. Skinner.
Yeah. And Skinner takes it all right actually, but unfortunately for him at that moment, Victor Kennedy turns up the trouble, and he offers to help him find Bridget.
It's just, will you stay a moment? We're actually storming out, you know. But Bridget, I can help you find Bridget. I've got the numbers here. And so Skinner stays behind. Elton and Ursula head out of the building, but Ursula forgot her phone. And before she goes back to get her phone, I just want to say about the episode so far has been a lovely, little interesting metaphor for Doctor Who fandom, and how it can really bring people together from a shared interest and share empathy and learn how to communicate with each other in more interesting and heartfelt ways.
And much like most fandoms, it immediately devolves into pure shit.
And it devolves into pure shit because if you let toxic idiots in your fandom who try to take charge and make it all about themselves and all about their petty obsessions, their continuity, and care about facts over feelings, continuity over communication, then your entire fandom just gets right fucked up and a terrible place, and you have to take a stand and take your love back and just say no to this toxic. That's what I feel the episode up to this point has been saying, and I think that's a lovely little metaphor and a lovely little message.
This story is making me realise that gatekeeping is not always a bad thing.
Exactly. If it's gatekeeping against toxic assholes,
as horrible as that sounds, it's not always the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Even then, it's not truly gatekeeping. It's more pruning the weeds.
Gatekeeping is when you try to kick the women out of Star Wars fandom. Pruning is when you try to kick the bigots out of Star Wars fandom.
Yep.
I mean, it's technically gatekeeping for different reasons, but it's still gatekeeping. But anyway, let's not.
But you know what I mean.
That. Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, one has arguably more moral heft than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to put in a blanket statement now. We're about to meet the monster for this episode.
Oh.
And this monster was actually created by a 9-year-old child who was named William Grantham for a specific competition from something called Blue Peter. Now, is that a show radio?
That's a children's TV show, yeah.
Okay. So he had the chance to make this, this nice little monster and put it in. And at this point, Rainick, if you could just put up his original drawing of the monster.
Sure
It's
will.
an interesting concept. And originally, he had intended for it to be about the size of a double-decker bus. The way that they decided to translate this drawing into quote-unquote real life is a big mistake, however.
Very much so.
So, before we get to this, I just want to say, like I said, if you take everything we've covered up to now, just by itself in isolation, it's a lovely little metaphor about fandom. It really works and it really isn't that bad. As I've said, unfortunately, then the rest of the episode happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Behold, the reason why Peter Kay considers this the biggest mistake of his career to date.
Ursula's forgotten her phone, so she heads back in and is like, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Kennedy, we're not storming. We're not coming back. We just forgot our phone." But where's Mr. Skinner? More to the point, where's Victor Kennedy? There's just like he's sitting there behind a newspaper, and his voice sounds really weird, like this. It's like echoey and reverberating. What the fuck's going on? What the fuck's wrong with his hands? Oh my god! Victor Kennedy is an alien.
Wow,
Dun,
who could have
dun,
guessed?
dun.
He's an absorba thing, an absorbaling, an absorbaloff.
That's the one. That's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So this is the absorbaloff, and yeah, this is what the production team did to the small child's drawing.
Just look on the screen right now. Just take this in.
Yeah.
In all its majesty.
And then, if you need it, Rainick is also going to provide in the description a link to /eye bleach because you will probably need that.
Is that a real?
I'm not going to do that,
Yes.
but that is a real thing.
No, you are going to do that because people need puppies.
Oh, all right.
Kittens,
If
and
it's,
bunnies.
that's some eye
Wait,
bleach.
it's just a Reddit entirely of puppies and bunnies and kitties?
Yeah, it's meant to essentially bleach your eyes. of
I was
whatever
thrown by the
disturbing
name
thing
eye
you just
bleach.
saw.
I like the sound of this Reddit.
Okay, I will absolutely include a link to that then.
Well, but design aside, it gets worse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not called an absorbaloff for nothing. No, he's actually the people who stayed around for just a moment. They aren't dead. They have been absorbed into him, and their faces are trapped on his body. So there's Mr. Skinner. There's on his chest. There's Bridget on his shoulder. Where's Bliss?
You don't want to know.
This muffling sound can be heard. And then the Absorbaloff lifts his buttock, and there is Bliss's face.
And he farts.
Yeah. Why?
Alright, it's time for another patented Doctor Who cat rant.
Here?
Go right
you
ahead.
You spend almost all of the episode getting to know these people. You know, you find out about their woes, you see them sort of fall in love, you see them go through all these trials and tribulations of dealing with Victor Kennedy and finding the Doctor and everything that happens. You get to know and love these people. They're great characters. Unfortunately, their ending is the shittiest ending I have ever seen in my entire life.
Literally.
In Bliss's case, is literally. Because, oh my gosh, they are disrespecting these characters so much. It infuriates me. I hate the fact that this is how the Absorbaloff does things. I would have preferred if, you know, their faces were not there, or if their faces were there but they couldn't speak. And then the fact that, you know, they put in this whole farting on Bliss's face thing is just horribly disrespectful, and I hate it. I hate this whole thing. I hate it.
Yeah. You're not wrong, and he has other pieces of other victims on there. I don't know if these ever aired in the outside the UK, but for Series 2, they did a thing on the Doctor Who website called TARDISodes for Series 2. Little mini web episodes before each story. Like a prequel, if you will. And the prequel for this story has Kennedy, but you don't see him on you don't see him on camera at all. Absorbing a secretary that brings him a cup of tea, and apparently her jawbone can be seen on the Absorbaloff.
Yikes.
Yeah, this design is terrible.
Again, we're not slamming on the 9-year-old kid. He
Not
was
at
a
all.
9-year-old kid. We're
And he's
slamming on
grown
the
up.
people who made the costume.
The production team's limited budget made this horrible.
So the Absorbaloff, his entire motivation here is he really wants to absorb the Doctor. Which,
Yeah.
if you stretch, I guess you can take this as a metaphor for toxic fandom. I want the Doctor fandom all to myself.
I actually think it's a little bit deeper than that. I think it's more, I want this to be my Doctor forever. I don't want it to ever be something different. I want it to stay exactly what I think it should be.
Oh. So you're saying Victor Kennedy is an NMD?
Yes.
Oh wow.
He's basically the same people who are like, Jodie Whittaker shouldn't be the Doctor. Why are we having a female Doctor? That sounds wrong.
Doctor Who's so political these days. Can't we go back to when I was 15 years old, before politics and media were invented?
That's basically what I think it boils down to. Is just he wants to absorb the Doctor so that he will never change. In our context of this, it's so that the Doctor will never change and that it will always be the exact same and it will never be quote unquote crap to these people.
I just had a horrible thought. Pairing that thought with the thing I've been complaining about since the Series 12 retrospective, where all the spin-off material is David Tennant this, David Tennant that.
Oh Lord, no.
Oh no!
No, thank you.
Oh my gosh, Chris Chibnall is the Absorbaloff.
Anyway, to move this on.
Ursula's ready to beat the shit out of the Absorbaloff, and he's like, "Oh no, please don't hurt me. Gotcha!" And he grabs her. One touch is all it takes, and Ursula is absorbed. Rip in peace. Well, I say rip in peace, but it's actually a fate worse than death. Rip in peace will be a kindness.
She's badass here because she's ready to beat him with his own cane.
He was always a badass. Like I said, most likely to fight back.
He wasn't wrong.
And she gets absorbed, and she's like, "Oh my God, Elton! I can read his thoughts. He's gonna absorb you next. Run away!"
Yeah, no
This
shit,
is
Sherlock.
ridiculous because of course he was going to absorb him next.
Yeah,
He wasn't going to leave a witness.
he sure wasn't. But this leads to another. Well, it's silly. Yes, Elton being chased in broad daylight by this green hat thing.
That's wearing briefs.
Yes,
Why is he wearing?
it's
Obviously, I'm glad he's wearing something because.
Well, there is actually a reason for his appearance that's explained in a couple of minutes. But why the briefs?
Just why?
So Elton
Also,
is...
can I cleanse our palate real fast with something fun that I learned?
Okay.
So there was this little thing called Doctor Who Adventures. Have either of you heard of that?
Not off the top of my head.
No.
It's a magazine that was aimed at younger readers. It occurred every now and then. People would get it, and it would have these fun little stories and stuff in it. One of the stories it had was something called Insane Invasions, where they thought about what would happen if the Absorbaloff and the Wire attempted to invade the same planet. And then they tried to absorb each other.
Oh.
Oh.
What happened is that the Absorbaloff wins and gets a television screen on its stomach with the Wire's image, and then it goes, uh-oh, like the Teletubbies.
Oh,
That's
God.
actually pretty good. Speaking
You're
of
gonna need
Doctor Who villains that are underrated, The Wire.
You're gonna need about 5 more palate cleanses as we go, but Elton gets cornered, and the Absorbaloff is advancing on him, and Elton's basically like, everything I ever wanted has been absorbed by you. And the Absorbaloff like, oh, come join us, it'll be bliss. Even though it's not that at all, he's just lying through his teeth. But before Elton can be absorbed, the TARDIS appears! And the Doctor steps out and is like, someone's very upset with you. And then Rose comes out, stares at Elton, and is like, you upset my mum. Elton's like, really? giant green alien monster, and you're gonna have a go at me. So this leads to I guess funny scene where we find out the Absorbaloff's home planet.
Oh god.
He looks he looks a little Slovene, doesn't he? So yeah, he does look a little Raxacor. I spit on that planet. Uncultured swine. I'm from their twin planet. It's the twin planet of Raxacor Falipatoris. Plum. Plum. Plum.
And I'll return there victorious, Doctor, once I possess your travelling machine.
Oh my god, guys.
Oh no, what?
I'm going to link this to you, and Rainiac, you're going to put this into the description.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be seen.
Channel Hub.
This YouTuber is the guy who made the Absorbaloff.
Oh
What?
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's William Grantham.
He made up for it
no.
then.
Oh, it's even better. He does remember it, and he has videos about the Absorbaloff.
Oh my god. Oh my lord.
I just love the description. Your favourite toilet brain manlet. That's immediately winning me over to his side here.
Oh, sir. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, if you're watching this podcast, if you've somehow made it to this point, we feel you. We feel you, buddy.
Yeah.
We feel you on the monster.
Again, this is not his fault.
No,
in
we're
any
not
way.
blaming you at all.
This is down to production. This is down to Series 2's limited budget. They actually ran out of budget at one point, meaning that the the iconic monster from the Satan Pit, the Beast, wasn't originally in that story because they had no budget for CGI.
Oh
so
my
Russell
God.
T was desperately racking his brains to think, what can we do to represent the devil? A little girl? In the end, they managed to shuffle the budget and they got the CGI Beast, and it looks fantastic. But I kind of want to see the cut now where there's a little girl going there going, "At last, Doctor, we meet."
So the Absorbaloff is like, surrender, Doctor, or I'll kill Elton. I know that you're a compassionate person and you won't let an innocent person die. Ha ha ha! Again, using that empathy bullshit against him. He's like, I have no empathy, I'll kill him. And the guy was like, go ahead. Shit. What?
Do it.
I'll do it. But I think the other people inside you will have something to say about that.
Yeah.
I don't like this. I
leads
really
to
don't
the
like
scene
this.
of all the faces on the Absorbaloff going, he's right! Come on! Fight back! Pull! Pull! And they sort of tug against the Absorbaloff and, stagger him.
Ursula
And
screams,
eventually
"Linda
he-
United!" Again, it's heartbreaking.
Linda United. I kind of like that.
They don't pull him apart because that would be far too gory.
I
But
like the Linda United.
they cause him
because,
enough pain to drop his staff, his cane that he's holding on to. And at this point, Ursula tells to Elton, "Quick, Elton, the cane, break it!"
Elton smashes that shit over his knee and breaks the Absorbaloff's the technobabble bullshit.
We get a censored swear word. Oh yes, stupid! Oh no, it's almost what was going to follow the stupid.
Yeah.
But they can't broadcast that at family time on Saturday nights. So
Guess not.
No,
So-
but they can show other things at family time on Saturday nights.
So
the
what's
same
happened
episode.
here is that the cane was a limitation field, as the Doctor explains to Elton. And with it gone, he couldn't stop absorbing, and so the absorber was absorbed by the Earth.
And
He
so
destabilizes.
he
essentially.
falls onto some slabs of concrete and melts away. And one sort of half forms Ursula's face and just says, "Bye, Elton," and
Oh
melts away.
God!
And it's sad, and Elton's left there sobbing over the loss of his friends.
Yeah,
Rose
Rose
over and
comforts
just
him
gives a
despite
hug.
what he did to her mother, which is nice.
That's sad. And so we're back to Elton's vlog.
Ugh.
Well, before that, actually, yeah, he mentions that this incident, the doctor helps him remember just why the doctor was in his house all those years ago. Turns out there was a monster called an elemental shade in Elton's house, and the doctor came to stop it. He managed to do so, but not before it killed Elton's mother. And that is a memory Elton had suppressed all these years.
Yeah, no wonder.
No wonder.
I wonder if this is the basis for the Vashta Narada.
Well, maybe.
It's possible, but it's never officially been stated they're the same thing, or one
I mean,
inspired the other.
elemental shade is just, it's just a simple evocative thing.
Yeah, living shadow.
It says something without saying something, you know?
Oh yeah, they never show it. It's just mentioned in dialogue. But it did kill his mother, so we get a brief montage of him seeing his mother while Mr. Blue Sky ends.
Again, that's the evocative stuff. It isn't about the doctor, it's about empathy. It's about what you've lost. And this is summed up in Elton's final words, where he quotes Stephen King, and I don't know where this quote comes from. It's about salvation and damnation being the same thing. I almost want to say it's from the novel Desperation, which would fit thematically, but I haven't read that book in a while.
It could be.
Either way, wherever the quote's from, he's paralleling it to the doctor. Paralleling. It's not mirroring. No doctor.
Yes. And then after we hear about Elton's mother, nothing else happens. The episode ends right there. Nothing else possibly could occur.
Unfortunately, not the case.
Nothing else.
Because the Doctor has one last surprise.
Nothing else.
Well,
please.
Elton says that he had something nice in Linda, and even though it wasn't the Doctor's fault, it was indirectly the Doctor who destroyed it because of all this obsession bullshit and the alien that was obsessed with the Doctor. But hey, the Doctor was able to do one nice thing for him. He did one favor for him.
All right, if anybody's going to talk about this, it's going to be me, because if I have to hear it, I'm going to scream. And then my family's going to run down here wondering what the heck is wrong. And then I'm going to have to explain to them that I got mad at a Doctor Who show.
And then you're going to have to show them the Doctor Who show, and they're going to be like, what the fuck, you were right, this is bullshit.
I would never do that to them. I actually like them. I also actually like my friend Chris, but she agreed to it, so...
I was going to say, you just run Chris under an entire fleet of buses there.
I actually like you too, but I indirectly made you watch it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then
Rain made you talk about it twice.
Well,
so.
My computer did, but I still feel bad.
OBS made me talk about it twice. I blame OBS for that.
OBS.
OBS. Okay. Well, Kat, go ahead.
OBS, it literally says what it is. Oh, it's BS.
Kat, take a deep breath, hug a pillow, and tell us what the story does.
I'll hold pee-pee.
Hold pee-pee.
I'll hold
Give him a squeak. Give us a little pee-pee squeak. Oh, precious. Okay.
He's actually a little bit hard to squeak, but I love him still.
Go wild.
Okay, so the Doctor decides to do something nice for Elton. Nice is in a lot of quotation marks, by the way. He's using his sonic screwdriver on the pavement where the Absorbaloff landed. And he says that he's not going to be able to do full reconstruction, but at least he could do something partial. And then you see him look up and he yells, "Elton, get a spade!" And so it cuts back to Elton on his computer doing his blog thing. And you actually hear Ursula's voice. And she says, "Oh, it's not all that bad." And then he pulls over a concrete slab. And then the camera itself turns to like an actual camera, not the video camera he's using to record himself. And it shows that Ursula's face is poking out of the stone.
So,
yeah.
I will say one thing, that you can read this episode is that combine it with the whole computer thing and the Scooby-Doo chase and the other stuff, and you can create a reading of this episode where Elton's suppressed memory of the Doctor and all the trauma he's faced has caused him to lose his sanity and the grip on reality, and all of this is just a hallucination by an unreliable narrator. If you want to take that reading, it's there. It doesn't change a lot of the objections people have with this, but that reading is there for you to latch onto like a life raft.
Yeah, but here's my problem.
Like
they still have we have a sex life line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is the big bugbear that everyone objects to, and I can't really say they're wrong to object to, because
even if it technically does not exist because the theory is correct, they still showed it on TV.
Yeah, it exists, even if it's not a real thing in universe. Yeah. And that one line, that really broke the entire thing, because I don't know if they thought of the entire implications of that line when they were making the fun little crass joke. I don't think they thought the entire full horrific implications. No. And this is a story about fandom. This is a story about Doctor Who fandom. Doctor Who fandom thrives on this fan theory over-analysis shit. They are going to take a line like this, and they are going to run with the full horrific implications of it, as Kat's brain has naturally done, and self-cannibalized itself in terror.
And I'm going to hold off until we get to our final thoughts, because in that I'm going to go in a full-on rant about why this does not work.
So we will look forward to that. But Rainiac, why don't you close us out with the final beautiful line?
The final line is actually pretty good. Because
too bad it's in this episode.
Elton addresses the camera, and he says, it wasn't the Doctor's fault, but I had this great group and they were destroyed. And I wonder how much longer it'll be before Jackie and Rose pay the price.
Set up for the finale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it 3 episodes till Doomsday?
Yeah. Exactly 3 episodes. And then he says about the world.
Rose's 3 days to retirement.
And the world is 3 weeks, but yes. The world is not as we think it is. It's so much darker. And so much madder. And so much better. And on that, the curtain falls on Love and Monsters, and apart from the summing up, we never talk about it again.
Fuck.
I will just mention something
just to make absolutely sure, OBS is still working, right?
I'll just double check.
Because if I have to do this a third time...
No, it says the audio is recording perfectly.
If it's not recording perfectly, we are going to throw up me and Rainiac will do it a third time.
You don't have to do that, it's working.
Okay.
But for the love of God, let's finish before it crashes. So
I think, given our feelings, that Kat should go last. But
yes,
I would like to go in the middle because I'm rather nice to this episode to a certain point.
You want to do a critic sandwich? We'll do a critic sandwich and I'll go first then.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I went into this hoping to give Love and Monsters a fair shake, hoping to prove beyond doubt that its poor reputation was not deserved, and I proved the opposite to myself instead.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I absolutely did. The first half, the first 30 minutes, is fine. I actually quite like the goofy elements, the Scooby-Doo, the ELO. I think Marc Warren plays the character of Elton rather well. Interestingly, he and Peter Kay could have had that role, but he opted to play the villain instead. And instantly regretted it because he was then running around London in a green fat suit. But that's besides the point.
Wiggling his tongue.
I like the character of Victor Kennedy as a villain, not the absorbable of Victor Kennedy, the human persona. He's fine as a hammy bad guy that they've got to take down eventually. And then he unmasks himself and the whole thing falls apart. And I didn't realise just how nasty the whole Ursula is a concrete slab thing was until Ken explained it. And yeah, that's a fate worse than death, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That's horrific. And it does unfortunately tarnish the rest of the story. And it doesn't matter that Camille Coduri puts in a fantastic performance as Jackie, or that Marc Warren is great as Elton, or Shirley Henderson's a very good one-time heroine in Ursula. All of that doesn't matter because of the choices in the final third. And yes, we do have this to thank for Blink and for Turn Left, and I am grateful to this episode for that, but that's about all I'm grateful to it for. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the case for the defence as presented by Jerry Snook.
You used my full name there. How about that?
Well, we're in a court of law, so... Not really, but...
Oh God! So this story, there's a version of it that ends when they confront Victor Kennedy and head out of there. That's very good. Unfortunately, we don't live in that universe, and there's 15 minutes, so I can't defend that 15 minutes. I mean, it's a little. I can go with it's. I can try and sort of say, the silliness of it isn't that bad, really. It's just kind of childish and campy, but I can live with it. But I don't really go for it. But for that, the first 2/3 of this episode, like Rain said, they're really fascinating to me. It's a little allegory for Doctor Who fandom in general, toxic assholes in fandom, and how you deal with it, and how empathy and communication and learning to understand each other through a shared interest are more important than obsessing over this shit to an unhealthy degree that hurts the people you're with and people around you, and God knows who else, all in your obsessive thing to make this thing yours. Like, if you shut off Love and Monsters at the 35-minute mark, or wherever that shit happens, when Ursula's like about to leave, or Ursula and Elton are about to leave, great. That's good. Then the last 15 minutes happens and things get slightly less defensible. The Absorbaloff is deeply unfortunate, but I mean, I would say it's bad, but I can deal with shit monsters. I've seen Kinda. I like Kinda. I can deal with a shit Doctor Who monster. The final bit, yeah, you can read it as a unreliable narrator thing where he went mad because of the Doctor's influence on his life, but that still doesn't change the unfortunate bits. I can't really defend those, but I can't say I don't know if I can say Love and Monsters is my least favorite story of Doctor Who just because I feel so vehemently about certain other episodes of Doctor Who. But it definitely doesn't help. But overall, I like the fandom part of it. God help me, I like that part of it. And I will focus on that part of it and enjoy that allegory. And I will leave the great umbrage to the final bit to our third host. Concave Usurper Batman's Cat, go off on this
The resident
shit.
angry woman.
Go off on this shit, if you please.
I will agree that the first bit of it is actually pretty decent. If it had stopped, as Frez said, where they left the Linda group, I'd be fine with that. If they stopped after they told Elton what had happened to his mother, I'd be fine with that. What really pisses me off about this episode is the last couple of minutes. The speech is fine. The speech is absolutely fine. The Absorbaloff, I'm not a huge fan of. He's disgusting. Victor, however, is a good villain. I would like it if it was just him and he wasn't like an alien or something like that. That'd be actually kind of cool. All the characters, I like Elton and Ursula, Bliss, Bridget, and Skinner. I like them. I hate what happens to them, but I like them. What ruins this entire episode for me is one single solitary line. And that is the line that is simply, we even have a sort of sex life. Because that implies something. And something that Ursula said during this time is that she now exists always as a face on concrete. She won't grow old. It's hinted at that she won't die. So she's going to be like that for the rest of possibly even time itself. If not, she gets worn out as concrete eventually does wear out. Which is actually even more horrifying to think of, because what happens to her in that case? She can't leave. She can't go anywhere. She relies entirely on Elton to do anything. What if she falls out of love with him? What if she says no? What if, someday Elton dies? What happens to her then? They put all of this in one little bit where she is forever like this. I mean, what's going to happen if, what if one day someone, he dies while outside of the house, someone comes in, finds her, and either they throw her away or they, call in somebody to come and investigate this thing that they just found. She has now a shit life. And the fact that it's the doctor who does this to her, the doctor, no, that's not okay. That is way beyond okay in my book. There are just horrible, horrible implications of what they're trying to say with this that I don't think that they fully thought through. I think they honestly thought that this would be a very heartwarming moment with a little bit of laughter thrown in about the whole, they have a sex life, she blows him. How funny is that, adults? It's not until you suddenly think about it a lot more than possibly Love and Monsters deserves, in my opinion. But it's one of those things that I can't help but do because, there's already trouble nowadays with how women have to deal with consent and Me Too movement and things like that. So, thinking about this, it's something that comes naturally to me, and it's so disgusting and wrong and horrible. And there's really no saving this episode, in my opinion, even despite how good the first part of it is. This is something that, if I had to, I would start up my own little thing to edit Doctor Who episodes, and it would cut off immediately after one of the 2 points I listed before. That's how just utterly disgusting and offensive I find this Ursula is now a concrete slab thing to be. It is so offensive. I like Forest of the Night better than I like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You said it.
You can't take that back, but I can see why you say that. A couple of points then, and we never have to talk about this ever again.
Right, OBS? Right?
Right, OBS?
Right.
Firstly, the monster in the beginning was not named on camera. It was named in the credits as a Hoix. Whether that's a Hua or a Hoix is up to you, because it's never named on camera. Second point, Elton was originally written as a female obsessed fan of the Doctor.
Fangirl.
And thirdly, and bizarrely,
Produce the fangirl powered canon.
this story has a reference to the four main story arcs of the Russell T Davies era.
Brain is just completely talking over that.
I'm trying to, but I can't because you brought it back to attention, didn't you?
No. We're talking about the fangirl power cannon.
I heard. My third point, which is interesting if you'll let me say it.
You know, Frez, you still owe me Holiday Star.
You do.
Oh.
My third point is this: it's the first story to, and possibly I think last one to date, where the four main story arcs of the Russell T Davies era are mentioned. There is a reference to Bad Wolf. There's a reference to Torchwood, because there's one in every Series 2 episode. Mr. Saxon is brought up, and Clom is part of the Series 4 story arc with the planets disappearing.
Ursula saw Elton turn into Saxon, aka the Master.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my God.
She did, didn't she?
Yeah?
And she wouldn't have done, because in that story, Donna doesn't turn to Saxon because she's altered. She's not got, like,
He's
typical
part-time
human DNA anymore. She's part Time Lord. And Ursula is altered because she's part concrete slab. Oh my god.
What the hell does the Master as Elton do to her?
I don't even
Let's
want to
not
think
think
about that.
Let's
So,
not think about that.
it's
So,
my
next,
turn next, is it not?
it is. I wonder what you have for us.
Well, my jibbies were not sufficiently rustled to change my mind. I feel
Okay.
bad for nominating this for Chris's poll, and I feel doubly bad for OBS shitting the bed and causing us to do this twice. So as a make good, I've picked a genuinely good story.
Wonder what it could be.
And I think you're all going to enjoy this, because it has one of my favourite villain performances in Modern Who ever. Next time on Doctor Who Reviews, Matt Smith stars in the back half of The Crimson Horror.
Yay!
I get to talk about Clara.
I get
Fuck!
to talk about Diana Rigg
Yay!
It's win-win.
again, because I did do this as a solo review, but this warrants the three of us reliving it.
Yeah,
This is great.
Series
It's a
7 was
fantastic
very
episode.
early days for Doctor Who reviews, where it was usually you, or maybe you got one of us here or something like that.
It
I
was
think
me,
maybe
apart
you
from you guest starring on two of them, which I think were
I still-
Rings
So you know
and
the boring years.
got- Ooh,
which I think were
We
Rings
talked-
and Nightmare in Silver.
we talked about rings together. Ooh.
We did two, I think, or was it Cold War?
I know that I cameoed at the beginning of Hyde and had that lovely joke where I went, Hyde? I don't want to talk about Hyde. I want to talk about the Underwater Menace.
Yeah, you cameoed on that, and you had a meltdown over the name of the Doctor.
I had a meltdown over the name of the Doctor?
A stage meltdown.
Why did I melt down over name
Because
of the
the
Doctor?
beginning of it, with all the Doctors being shown and Clara and the,
Well, see,
oh my god.
Frez, if you actually watched the podcast, then you would know this.
it is
It
7
was-
or 8 years ago. I think we
It
can.
was 7 or 8 years ago. I have the memory of a goldfish.
I think we can let him off the hook for that one. But
Okay,
Off the
so I
hook for
like.
what?
this is.
I was like, It was a happy meltdown, right?
I think this is great. This is not perhaps the best story of Series 7, but it is my
That would
personal
be-
favourite.
That would be,
Rings of Aquitaine, yeah. Which we may cover one day, but
And you know what? It stars everybody's favorite Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and especially the favorite Doctor of one Krista McTeer, who wrote Back to the 11th Hour. Go buy
Buy
it.
it
It's on
now!
Amazon.
I think
Yeah.
given that what we've just put everyone through, that's the least we could do, is plug
And
our
it
friend's
stars
book.
my favorite Doctor, Clara Oswald. No.
And if the fandom would like the interest to kill Freezing Inferno, we're not going to give it to you because we're his friends.
So, well, that's it for Love and Monsters.
So-
Thank God.
Jerry is located at. No, I'm.
Don't,
Jesus.
please. Doctor
Boy.
indifference are a real thing. Do not.
Instead of doing that, why don't we do another little thing on our podcast that we do between the end of the episode and the end of the podcast? It's time for Symphogear update.
On second thoughts, let's go back to doxing. No.
Hang on, we got started off.
I regret you finding that sound clip.
So,
Okay.
Rainiac,
Yeah, okay.
when last we left off, you were about to begin season 2 of Symphogear.
Yes, I was. And I was set the task to watch the first 5 episodes of Series 2, known as Symphogear G.
You said 4, but we insisted upon 5.
You did?
Tell me,
Friend.
Rain, why did we insist upon episode
Because I
5?
watched episode 5 and probably screamed.
There's no probably about it.
No, promptly
So-
screamed.
Oh, yes. Well, go on. tell us a little about your
Well,
experience with Symphogear,
I'll put up a card that says like spoilers.
Spoilers.
Because
We've got the
if you're
timestamp
gonna watch
in the
this, you
video.
need to go in as blind as possible.
Chris, don't watch. Look away.
There'll be a thing
Yeah.
up, say, skip to whatever time.
Skipped over the thing.
So
Blah, blah, blah,
the whole
blah, blah,
thing
blah.
of
Okay,
Series 2 is that it introduces a rival Symphogear unit to counterbalance Hibiki, Tsubasa, and Chris. Best girl, Chris.
Ooh.
And they are Maria, who is Tsubasa's counterpart, because they're both professional singers. Karika, who is the Dark Magician girl.
Girl.
And is Frezno's favourite best girl because she's his avatar.
In my avatar for like over a year now.
And she's the counterpart of Chris. And then there is Shiribe, who needs to be punched in the face hard.
Now. Don't be mean to my lesbian children.
I mean, she's meant to Hibiki first. She started it.
Well,
Shiribe is that character
Hibiki's
archetype.
gonna finish it.
Shiribe is that character archetype I can't stand. Which is that she calls the main character a hypocrite.
Wow, Rainiac, it is almost as if the show is offering an ideological challenge to Hibiki's naivete and idealism, and that there will be a reason for why Shiribe believes so strongly against this, and also may even find some sort of redemption and or understanding of each other as per the themes of Symphogear.
And I'm sure that will all happen. I can hear your voice trying not to laugh as you say those things, but
I wonder if that will happen in the episodes.
at the same time, Hibiki needs to punch her in the face.
No pun. No. We know.
Well,
who
that
Hibiki
would go
needs to
against
punch.
her whole
Yeah.
her whole thing.
We know who Hibiki needs to punch in the face.
Yes, Dr. Ver.
Dr.
Did someone
Bear.
say punching in the face?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Yes.
Just pretend that guy in blue is Dr. Ver.
Dr. Bear.
He's a piece of work.
I will tell you his full name at some point later, and you will lose your goddamn shit.
Like I did.
Yes, like you did.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't deserve a full name because Dr. Ver is an asshole. He's also a child murderer.
He sure is.
There's a scene in episode 5 where I'll say it, Dark Mirror Symphogear team are being ambushed by the US government forces, and Maria is having like a crisis of conscience. Like, she said, "Go out there and kill them." Well, I can't. I don't want to kill them. Go ahead and do it, you soft sack. And Dr. Ver does it for her. And the whole thing about this is that the noise kills people by carbonizing them, by reducing them to atoms.
Eat your heart out, Thanos.
It's less. The animation for it is still horrific, but less horrific than Series 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 children just happen to come upon the massacre, and Dr. Ver shows no hesitation, despite Maria screaming in his ear not to do it. And Eye Patch Lady, not Madame Kavarian, as you thought.
I did a double take.
But the team's boss, Nastasia. Eye Patch Lady,
Nastasia?
Queen Bitch, whatever you want to call her. I don't like her. Again, she'll probably have a reason for being like she's being, but I don't like her.
They're very, I'll say this now. The antagonist group this season is very needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
but I'm still
going
enjoying it. I want to get into more episodes.
Even though episode 5 ended with hell.
Yes, it ended with Hibiki getting her arm bitten off.
Dr. Ver has like a monster, and Hibiki got distracted, and her goddamn arm got bitten off. And unlike Madoka Magica, you know what happened this time.
Don't go there, please. Please.
But yeah, that's a visceral fucking.
Am I fuckers destined to forever follow me around in life?
Yes.
Yes.
There's the April Fool's joke. There's missing the fact that Mummy got her head bitten off. Ugh, I despair. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, DJ Too Much Time.
Uh, who's
Yeah.
this broken Brett Huddy? He sounds like a right nerd. Uh,
But yes, I'm glad you're enjoying Symphogear G, Kirika Best Girl.
so how
And-
many? Also, the best thing is that Chris's two favorite words in the English language by default because she didn't lose the karaoke contest.
Yes, and that song is really sweet, actually.
Yeah, how her whole character thing, and then Kirika and Sharibe absolutely ruin it because every time
Oh.
these girls have a remote moment of happiness, here are these two to ruin it.
You'll
Don't you
learn
dis-
to like them.
don't
I'm
you
sure I
disrespect
will.
my-
And
don't you
Karika had her
disrespect-
moments in episode 5 with the good food map, which was hilarious.
Don't disrespect my lesbian children.
When they've stopped disrespecting Hibiki and Chris, yes, I will happily
Well.
do that.
In the meantime, Rain, I hope you can watch another, I wouldn't say, up to episode 10, maybe?
5 more? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think you'll get to some very interesting
I will say that the cliffhangers for this show absolutely slap. They know
Oh,
how,
jeez, cliffhangers. Fucking
they know how to
Holy shit.
end the episode on something that keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah.
It's very
Are you
intelligent use of
ready?
cliffhangers.
Are you ready for fun?
Oh, we're ready for so much fun. But,
Okay, Elton John.
hey, it's like the thing. Yeah.
So that concludes the Symphogear roundup for this week. I'll take the spoiler note off the screen right now. And,
Where can you find us lovely people, Rainiac?
well, if we haven't put you off for life with Love and Monsters, you can find us on Twitter at ReviewsDoctor. You can find us individually on Twitter at Concave Usurper, that's Cat, at Freezing Inferno, that's, well, Freezing Inferno, and at Rainiac the Maniac, that's me. You can also write us an email, and please make it a nice one after what we've just had to endure twice, at goandstareatyourself@gmail.com.
And it is reiterating, but Buy Back to the 11th Hour by Krista McTeer on Amazon.com.
Absolutely.
And come watch my streams at twitch.tv/concave usurper.
What's on the docket for this Sunday?
This upcoming Sunday is Velociraptor. It's about a pastor who turns into a velociraptor.
And the way you said pastor, I thought it was like a piece of spaghetti and not a priest.
That would be very interesting, but no.
No.
So we're just doing all the B movies. The
It's
one-
okay. After that, we'll do a good one. Mike gave us a recommendation for a specific Sherlock Holmes. Basil something.
Oh, Basil Rathbone, he's good.
Yes, that one.
I'm surprised you can do that on Twitch, but
Yeah, it was there.
okay.
Well, if Jeff Bezos is allowing it, we're not going to say no.
But doesn't that mean that you're actually going along with Jeff Bezos' wishes? Rebel,
You-
rebel,
Jeff
smash the
Bezos-
systems.
We should improve society somewhat. You can participate in society. Curious.
No.
I am very intelligent.
The difference is
No,
I'm
see,
making a
Rainiac-
joke. I'm making a
See,
joke.
Rainiac, Jeff Bezos has to let us do it, or else.
Chainsaw
saying.
Man, is that you?
God.
Oh, don't you start.
I won't until it gets made into an anime.
Power best girl. Power best girl.
I have no idea who that is, literally.
Say goodnight, Rainiac.
Wait, is she the girl with horns? Good night, Rainiac.
Yes. Yes.
Good night, Rainiac.
Okay,
Rainiac.
so thank you to you, the audience, for listening to us talk about Love and Monsters again. Thank you
Yeah.
to Kat and Jerry for putting up with having to do Love and Monsters again. And join us next time for what we hope will be a much better time, if OBS allows it, as we look back at the Crimson Aura. You have to say it like that from now on.
Is the throat clearing necessary?
Well, it's just to get the accent. And by the way, I do apologise to anyone who's genuinely from Yorkshire who is offended by that.
Also, if you're actually from Yorkshire.
See, I can laugh about
Offended?
that because I'm from Lancashire and we like deadly rivals. But you laughing at it just makes it funny. We won the Roll the Roses, bitch. Until next time, bye for now.
Good night, everybody.
I think we did. We had to rely on a Welshman for it, but we did. Okay, just
Hit
gonna
it.
get my my notes up on my phone here, and then we will start. Thank God I didn't wipe my
TP, kill
notes.
me now before we have to do this again.
Thank God I didn't wipe my notes. I can't be held responsible for killing a friend.
I didn't say for you, I said for PP.
For PP.
I'm gonna hold my PP strongly.
Oh,
I mean, haven't we all done
how do
that
we
at some
start
point
on
in our
that
lives?
note? Come on now.
I mean,
Please
Rain,
tell me
you and
that
I-
got on the recording.
Hi,
Rain,
bleeper
haven't you
real.
and haven't you and I done that at some point in our lives, Rain?
I refuse to answer on the grounds it may incriminate me. Anyway, let's start Love and Monsters.